Hi everyone and welcome to Green Monk's Data Center War Stories, sponsored by Centilla. The guest on the show this week is Jerry Sweeney. Jerry is Director of Cork Internet Exchange. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
Jerry, can you tell me a little bit about Cork Internet Exchange? You know, how old it is, what kind of size we're talking about?
Cork Internet Exchange was conceived in 2006, in September of 2006. Construction occurred in 2007. And it opened for business in March of 2008, so it's 3 years old now. We have two rooms on the technical floor area. One of them is kitted out, it's 3,000 square feet, and the other one is available for expansion, and that's also 3,000 square feet. As well as that, there's approximately 7,000 or 8,000 square feet for the services, offices, call center, and so on. So whatever that works out at 12 and 7. So it's about 19,000 square feet in total. Eventually it will be a 240 rack facility. At the moment we have about 75 occupied racks. To date it's exclusively a co-location facility, but we're now getting into the infrastructure as a service and platform as a service business.
In the running of a facility of that size, what are the most pressing kind of issues you come across typically day to day?
I suppose your question had the concept of size involved. So we are a very small data center, and I suppose trying to scale the expenses against our revenue stream is probably an issue at a company this size. You know, running 24/7 shifts. So I would say scale is probably our biggest single problem. Having people with the right resources and having the facility occupied. If you have 1,000 racks, okay, then you can spread those costs over a greater number of customers and a greater number of racks.
Any interesting things any interesting problems you happened across, and any solutions you came up with to solve them?
We live in a city, Tom, with 160, 170,000 people. All of the data centers in Ireland are basically clustered around Dublin. All of the connectivity that comes into Ireland is located or lands in Dublin. So, you know, remoteness and scale, okay, were huge problems for us when we started off. And one of the big issues for us, okay, was to get adequate connectivity into the building so that we would be taken seriously. And we came up with a strategy very early on, and the strategy was to initially, before we focused on being a data center, that we focused on being a regional internet connectivity center. And the name of the business is very interesting. The name of the business is Cork Internet Exchange. We registered a URL, which was the Cork Data Center, but we never used it. And the reason for that is because Cork Internet Exchange was more vital to us at startup than Cork Data Center. So in order to justify gigabit connectivity and the backhaul costs around that, we had to get serious volumes of IP transit through the building first. And we have a 30 meter, it was 24 meters initially, but we just added 6 meters to it this year. Our address is Holly Hill, and that's a clue, we're on top of a hill. That enabled us to sign up every single wireless internet service provider in the region. So all of the non-incumbent supplied broadband homes and businesses in Cork take their connectivity out of here. And we see that as being about 20,000 homes and businesses. So that was a huge win for us in early 2009. By the time we got to, say, March 2009, which would be a year after we opened, we had our IP transit up in the gigabits, and that made cost-effective procurement of transit sensible. And it was at that time that we noticed a growth you know, people took us more seriously as a data center because of the connectivity. We had the resilience from design in. What we didn't have is we didn't have connectivity at a price, okay, and at a quality level that made us attractive. So I think that probably was and if we hadn't been successful at getting that connectivity issue, then I don't think we would have been able to scale as a data center.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the interesting concepts that went into the design of the data center?
The concept of building the data center was started in September of 2006, and we made a decision in 2006 to go for cold aisle containment. And today that seems like a really kind of standard idea. The argument is now, do you go for hot aisle or cold aisle containment? But in 2006 it was actually even alternate hot and cold aisles were considered novel at that time, so it seemed like a remarkable, unusual thing. So we built it from the ground up with cold aisle containment as a strategy. Also, because we're located in Cork, which is a mild but neither hot nor cold climate. We have 11 degrees as an ambient temperature average for the year, and the difference between summer and winter is not enormous. So we are able to take advantage of an awful lot of free cooling. Even in the summer at night time, we can usually do free cooling here, and for much of the winter, our chillers never start. We know that our chillers did not start from November of 2010 until a warm, sunny afternoon in February. So free cooling, it took us for whatever number of weeks that is, 6 and 6, about 12 weeks, without ever starting a compressor. We were shocked when the compressor cut in. What's that noise? Okay.
Jerry, that's been fantastic. Thanks a million for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure, Tom. Thank you.